Thank you. Thank you very much. It's lovely to see you all, and it's so great that you're here learning about entrepreneurship and business. It's never been more important, never been more relevant to learn these skills. I was once upon a time a teenager as well. In fact, here's a picture to prove it. This is me when I was 15 years old, and I got my very first job at McDonald's. I did really well at McDonald's. You can see every time I did well, they put a badge on my tie, which was pretty cool. And I started earning money. I earned about £1.20 per hour. So I was a high roller. I was doing really well. That was my first job. A few years later, I had my first business experience. So I moved out of home when I was 18 years old. 18 and 1 week, I moved out. And I wanted to make some money because I was very, very skint. You can see this door here. This is actually a garage door, a roller door. You're meant to keep cars in there, but that was my bedroom. I moved into a garage. I put a piece of carpet on the concrete floor, and I put a mattress on top of the carpet, and that's how I lived for a year. But what I did is I decided that I was going to run some nightclub parties, and I put together my very first business opportunity. I called up the local nightclub and I said, would you host a special nightclub party on a Tuesday night during the school holidays? I'm going to put on a teenage nightclub party for under 18s. I partnered with the radio station. I called them and got them involved. I partnered with some fashion stores, got them involved, and put on my first nightclub party. And we had 1,000 people pay $10 a head, minus expenses of putting it on. It was about $7,000 profit. So it was pretty amazing to go from I'm talking dollars, so from £1 an hour to about £3,500 to £4,000 in one night, right? So that was my first experience of business. I discovered that these wonderful things could happen. And then as you heard, over the last 20 years, I've done lots of startups, and we've had some really great success stories with fast growth companies. And along the way, I've been feeling that it's the most incredible and positive time to be alive. It's the most greatest time to be a teenager right now. But you won't hear that in the media. In the media, you just hear negativity, and you hear that it's a hard time and it's a terrible time. And there's even some really popular people out there that just say you can't succeed unless you're born into a rich family. And I just want to say that's total BS, right? It's not true at all. Plenty of people succeed from all backgrounds and all walks of life. The thing about the times that we're in right now is that the governments of the world during the last 5 years, they pumped trillions of dollars and pounds into the economy, trillions and trillions and trillions, and it's out there. It's out there in the world. It exists, and all you have to do is come up with an idea, and some of that money could be yours, but there's never been more money available on the planet. There's never been more talented, amazing people who could join with you on a team to create a business. So it used to be that if you wanted to build a little team of people to start a business, you probably had to do it with your friends, and you really didn't know many people outside of that group. Thanks to the miracle of social media, you could find a talented designer somewhere else in the world. You could find a talented salesperson somewhere else, right? You can reach out and find amazing people to become collaborators and contributors for your ideas. You now have the ability to sell to people globally. There are plenty of people in this room that you're going to launch a business, and it'll be from day one a global business. You might have a digital download. You might have some sort of digital product, maybe some software that you create, and people all over the world could buy that. Some of you might launch a fashion business, and you might set up an Instagram account or a TikTok account and sell on an online store and send those products whizzing around the world. So you've got global markets. When I was starting my first businesses, we really only had access to just the local neighborhood as our potential market. And the number of problems, all businesses exist to solve problems. And there are plenty of problems that need solving. Like, we have a world that has lots of problems, and all businesses, they exist to solve a problem in the world. So all of that means that you've got plenty of opportunities. Had you been born in a different time, you wouldn't have had so many opportunities. If you had been born a couple of hundred years ago, you would have had to be born into a family that owned farming land. And there was no way around that. That if you weren't born into the right family a couple of hundred years ago, there was no chance for you to ever get ahead. If you were born even just a couple of hundred years ago or 100 years ago, you would have probably been working in a factory. And unless your parents owned a factory, there was no way of getting a factory. There was no such thing as a pathway to entrepreneurship. None of the factory workers could go and say, oh, I feel like setting up a factory today, right? That would have been impossible. So these people didn't have the opportunities that you've got today. But you were born in a time where ideas can turn into media, media can collect data, data can produce technology, and you can do all of that from your phone, from your spare room, from your laptop. these things are totally possible in the next 5 years for you, right? You were born at a time where anyone can turn their ideas into a business or into a movement or into a problem-solving group, right? So this is the most incredible time to be a young person. Some of the young people that I know really well, these are people who are friends of mine. This is Arun. You might know him as Mr. Who's the Boss. Does anyone know Mr. Who's the Boss? Anyone seen any of his videos? He has 22 million followers on YouTube. So he just started making videos about his favorite topic when he was 15. He made videos about technology, and he just made a video every single week, and now he's 25, 26 years old. And he has 22 million followers, and he's just a normal guy who just made some videos on YouTube. No one had to give him permission. He didn't need to get a boss. He didn't have to do a job interview. He just went and started it. This is another friend of mine, Ali Abdal. Ali was in medical school. He graduated as a doctor, but then just started an online business, and the online business started making more money per month than doctors make in a year. So he went with his online business. This is Christelle, an amazing entrepreneur from Cameroon in Africa, and she saved up for 3 years to get a ticket to the UK. She arrived in the UK, she became a cleaner of offices between 4 a.m. and 9 a.m., so she would get up really, really early and clean offices early in the morning. In the afternoon, she'd go to TK Maxx and she would find bargains, and then she'd buy those bargains at TK Maxx and she'd relist them on eBay. And she started her own fashion brand called Grassfields, and she got enough money by doing this TK Maxx thing that she went off and created her own fashion brand. Today, that business does over £2 million a year of revenue. This is another friend of mine, Jody. So Jody was in Birmingham. She started a digital agency helping people with their social media, and she sold it for, I think, £1.7 million a few years later before her 30th birthday. This guy, I think you know Ben Francis, who started Gymshark. He's a billionaire now with a B, not a millionaire. He's a billionaire because of his business that grew so big off the back of Instagram influencers. This is my friend Stephen Bartlett. Some of you might have seen Stephen on Dragon's Den. He became a millionaire through his idea in his 20s, then created a completely different business in his 30s and started investing in different businesses again. He's had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, starting with pretty much nothing, right? So great opportunities. This guy, some of you may not know, he's not British, he's Boylan Slat. Does anyone know who he is? He's the guy who set up the Ocean Cleanup Project. I wanted to highlight him because he's a young person who is doing more than governments are doing to clean up the oceans. He invented this ocean cleanup machine, this river machine, and it pulls plastic out of the most polluted rivers on Earth. And now governments around the world pay him and his team to clean up their river disasters. And he, as a young person, is responsible for millions of tons of plastic being lifted out of the ocean every single year. So young people can turn their ideas into actions, into businesses, into movements faster than at any other time in history. So I want you to keep that in mind. Okay, I'm going to give you some key ideas to start doing that. The first one is that you have to adopt an entrepreneurial mindset. Your mindset is so important. You've got to protect your mindset. So what do I mean by mindset? Let's play a little game here. What does that word say? Aha, a little bit of disagreement in the room. See, depending on how your brain is working, depending on your mindset, you might read it differently. Some people see opportunity is nowhere. Right? And they go, oh, there's no opportunities. Some people saw opportunity is now here. Different mindset, right? We looked at the same thing, but we saw something different. Some people saw opportunity, I snow here, which I don't know what that means. But anyway, here's the 3 mindsets that your brain has available. So all of you have got a built-in 3 settings on your brain, and it's physiological. You can't avoid it. We all have the 3 settings. So the 3 settings is the visionary, the autopilot, and the reptile. The visionary is the part of you that believes everything's possible. It's the part of you that says, I can do it. If it's possible for you, it's possible for me. It's just a matter of how. The visionary is the person inside you that's positive about the future. It's the person who says, you know what, I can go out and talk to people and find the resources. I'm going to make a great go of life. I'm going to have a great 20s. I'm going to have a really exciting 30s. I'm really excited about the future. Any problems that I face, I'm going to figure out a way to solve those problems. In fact, the visionary loves problems. The visionary is like, I want bigger problems. Boylan Slat, he said, I want to solve big problems like pulling plastic out of the ocean. And that's because he's coming from a visionary mindset. The autopilot is the part of you that just wants everything to be the same. So that's where you just simply want to go, oh, I just kind of want to repeat the past and repeat last week, and I'll just do the same thing I did last month, I'll do it this month. So the autopilot is the part of you that just doesn't want change. You just want to stay in autopilot mode. The reptile is the part of you that gets cross, right? You get a bit shirty, you get a bit angry. Some of you have experienced the reptile in the last few years. Has anyone had any reptile moments? Some of you may have had a reptile moment this morning. Something goes wrong and you throw a real tantrum about it. So that's the reptile. Don't be embarrassed. We all have the reptile. We all have the autopilot. We all have the visionary. For most people live in a nice little bubble. They get themselves, once they're adults, they get themselves into a nice little, kind of groove, and nothing's either visionary or reptile. They're kind of just in autopilot. They might have a boring day. That's not so great. They might get paid. That's good. They might have a tough class, right? They might go out with some friends. So they're just kind of in autopilot mode. Some people are a bit erratic. I bet you've got a friend who's a bit like this, right? Something bad happens and they're freaking out, and then something good happens and they're like having big ideas about it and it's amazing, and then they have an argument and it's terrible. So this is like the roller coaster, the emotional roller coaster that we go on. Has anyone got a friend who they can think of who's like on the emotional roller coaster? They're high highs and low lows, right? Yeah, I've got a friend like that as well. I used to have a girlfriend like that, actually. I used to. This one is where we want to be. This is called aligned to vision and purpose. So this is where you come up with a vision and a strategy and your priorities for your life, and then you go out and get stuff done, and then you realign yourself, review your priorities, and then get back into implementation. So this is called monitoring your mindset, right? It's just being conscious and aware. What mindset am I in? So as you're spending the next week thinking about life and you're going about your life, I want you to just start to monitor your mindset a little bit more. And you say, am I in visionary mode? Am I thinking about the future? Am I getting excited about big pictures? Am I coming up with my vision and my strategies? Am I plotting out my goals? Or am I in autopilot mode, or am I in reptile mode? And just simply being more aware of whether you're in reptile, autopilot, or visionary will allow you to just start moving towards this kind of mindset. The reason that I've been able to build lots of different businesses is that I spend a lot of time in visionary mode. I come up with ideas and I think about how those ideas might happen and which teams might want to get together. I get my teams into visionary mode, and I try and make sure that my team stays out of autopilot and reptile, and I just keep us moving along at a bigger picture level. It's incredible what you can achieve if you can stay in visionary mode. So here's a few tips on mindset. Tip number 1, avoid the doom scrolling. So AI has the most amazing superpowers. Superpower number 1 is the ability to make you more creative. Who's been using ChatGPT in the last 12 months? Yeah, good stuff, right? So you know that can help you become really creative. You can brainstorm. You can ask ChatGPT anything you want. How would I start this business? What steps would I have to go through? What would be the business plan? How would a young person come up with an idea? You can say to ChatGPT, here's a few of the things about me. What do you think I should do as a business? And it's going to come up with some ideas. So AI can help you to become super creative. But AI has a dark side as well. And the dark side is it can make you consume way more than you ever thought you would consume. Who's ever gone onto TikTok thinking, oh, I'm just going to check my TikTok quickly for 10 minutes, and then 3 hours later you're still on TikTok? Yeah, all of us. So the reason that happened is they invented very powerful algorithms to figure you out and to just give you and force feed your brain stuff, right? And it's just going to go more, 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 more. Keep you scrolling, keep you scrolling, keep you scrolling. The smartest people on the planet, who previously in previous generations probably would have worked in NASA or one of the top car companies or airplane companies, their entire job is to get you to spend more time on an app. Right? The smartest people, their job is to get you to consume more stuff. So you've got to be really, really careful. This is not good for the visionary brain. TikTok is really good to just force you into autopilot scrolling or reptile scrolling, right? So this is not good. So what we want to do is tune out from the news, tune out from social media, give your brain some time to come up with ideas. Tip number 2, open a 10% savings account. The reptile freaks out if you think that you've got no savings. If you think you've got no money for an emergency, your reptile brain is always scared of an emergency coming along. So I want you all to open 2 bank accounts. Your number 1 bank account, that is the normal bank account that you have. Number 2 is your 10% account. I call mine my reptile account. And what I do is every time I earn money, since I was 14 years old at McDonald's, 10% goes into that separate account. And I keep that there for some emergencies. And a little bit later, I ended up starting to do some investing with it. But at the very, very basics, you want to have an emergency backstop account so that your brain knows that you've got emergency money. So you never feel like you're going to run out of options. So get yourself a second bank account. Tip number 3, keep a journal. So I know it's nice to keep notes in our phone. That's always fun, but they kind of get lost. Next to your bed, keep a journal. And in your journal, you're going to write down your goals, your problems that you want to solve, or not just your problems, but problems you wish could be solved in the world, right? And just write down any problems that you see. If you notice that something should be done a different way, write it in the journal. Think, I wonder what the business case would be to solve that. How would we do that as a business? So goals, problems, gratitude, anything that you feel good about, write that down so you can go back through it later. And any ideas that you've got, any big ideas, any business ideas, any ideas for your life, but keep a journal and do it physically on paper, have it next to your bed. You will be so glad that you did, because at a later date, 5 years from now, you're going to look back at some of those journals and you go, wow, actually, I ended up doing that idea. I ended up achieving that goal. Right? Oh, you might remember some gratitude that you hadn't thought about for a while. So it's really powerful to have a journal. Remember, 80% of millionaires are self-made. Whatever you've heard in the media about this idea that you have to be born into a rich family or any of that sort of stuff, when they actually interviewed 7,000 millionaires randomly from the UK and USA, they discovered that 80% had never had any help whatsoever from anyone else. So they hadn't had any loans from their parents, they hadn't had any inheritance, they hadn't had any gifts. 80% of millionaires are completely self-made. They started with nothing and they built their own wealth. So keep in mind, anything's possible. Right? You've got a great chance of success. Okay, so that's mindset. The next big tip, if you want to do big things, is environment. So there's this idea that you become like the environment that you spend time in. And you've got to be careful about your environment. You've got to choose wisely the environment you put yourself into. So I had this experience when I was 19 or 20 years old, where I was out drinking with a friend in a bar, and we were sitting there, me and my mate, drinking alcohol at the bar, being pretty boring. And we looked around, and there was this guy who was there with 3 or 4 girls, and they were dancing. They were doing this thing called Latin jive dancing. And he looked way cooler than us, right? We're sitting there like with our little drinks, and he's got the girls, and he's spinning them around, and it was really cool. I got talking to them that night, and they said, well, why don't you come to dance class? And I said, that's silly. I've never even thought about dancing. Anyway, they convinced me to come to a dancing class, and I turn up in this new environment. It's a completely different environment than I'd ever been before. And in that environment, it's completely normal to learn how to dance and to actually be dancing with people. And suddenly I go, this is actually really fun. I looked at the instructors who were teaching a set of dance moves, and I thought, oh, that's what we're going to learn in the next month. And then we learnt that in one night. And I was like, wow, I can do all of that in one night. It made it very, very easy. And I kept showing up, and for about 2 or 3 years, I went to dance class. I ended up becoming really confident through this dance class. But the thing about it is that you never learn unless you show up to the environment, or you never do that unless you show up for the environment. It's the environment that takes over and makes you do something that you could never have done on your own. If I had have tried to learn on my own, watching YouTube videos or trying to stop people in the street and ask them for a dance, it wouldn't have happened. But getting in the environment was absolutely everything. When I was 20, this guy here, John, 21, something like that, this guy, John, invited me to go and work in his new startup. So he was starting a new agency. And he was 37, 38 when I met him. And he said, I'm going to start this new business. Do you want to come and join the team? I don't have a business name. I don't have a bank account. We're just going to sit around the kitchen table and we're going to create this new business from scratch. And I thought, wow, this is a great opportunity to learn. So I could have gone to university. I decided I was going to drop out of university and go do this instead. I could have gotten a job at a big company, but I thought, wouldn't it be fun to actually experience what it's like to start up a new business? So I launched with John. We came up with a name for the business. I was there when we registered the bank account. He helped show me what he was doing and how he was doing it, and we created our first marketing campaigns and our launch campaigns. And within about the first 12 months, we had hired about 30 people. In the next 12 months, we were up to over 60 people. And we had grown the business from an idea to about 6 million of revenue in 2 years. And I was right there under his wing the whole time. So I was learning absolutely everything about how it works. And then, a year later, I went off and started my first business, my proper first company, not the nightclub party business, but my first company. And I just copied everything that I'd learned from John. So I'd been in this environment, and then I knew all the things how it worked, and then I went off and started my first company. I must have been 21 at the time, 21 turning 22. And that business went 0 to $1 million in its first 12 months, and it got to 10.7 million, so almost $1 million a month of revenue by the time I was 24. So it was very fast growth. And people always were saying, oh, how did you do it? How did you become a millionaire before you were 25? And I said, well, I just copied my mentor. I'd been in the environment, I'd seen how everything worked, and I just went and copied my mentor. So just simply being in the right environment totally changes everything that's possible. So what does a high-performance environment look like? A high-performance environment has got clear common goals, right? It's the things that you're committed to. So in a high-performance environment, we've got a goal. And then we've got strategies and best practices for achieving the goal. We've got a select peer group of people who are in the environment. They want the same things as that goal. There's formal accountability, and there's tools and resources for getting the job done. And that's what a high-performance environment looks like. So if you take anything like a martial arts or dancing or life-saving or scientific environment, all of them have those 5 things in common. Clear goals, strategies and best practices, a great peer group, accountability and resources. So that's what you're looking for. You're looking for existing environments where you can get in those environments and experience that. Some environments are a little bit tricky. Some of you will get invited to go and work in large corporate environments. And you'll see the big logo that you've heard of, or you'll look at their website and it looks fantastic. But then when you go there, they just shove you off in a corner and say, okay, can you just do this basic thing? Can you cut and paste this? And you have no idea what the company does. You don't know what the clear goals are. You're not being mentored. You're not getting any of that special treatment. And that environment, you think it would be a high-performance environment, but it's not the high-performance environment for you because they've just kind of like using, you as an apprentice or as just an intern. Some of you would find it so much better off if you actually got yourself into a small business where you get to see everything that's going on. You get contact with the founder. So sometimes you might be better off joining a business that has less than 10 people. And then if you're in that environment, you're going to have much better chance. Oh, by the way, there's me. There's a photo. That was when I was 21, 22, and I'm launching my first business, and I've got my first ad in the newspaper. Right? There was this thing called a newspaper. It's like a phone, but like bigger, and it flips. So here's some tips. Tip 1, see if you can get a mentor. Right? See if you can get a mentor who's just a few steps ahead of you. You don't need a mentor who's a billionaire. You don't need a mentor who's, way, way, way ahead. You need a mentor who's just a few steps ahead. So for me, John was just a few steps ahead of me, right? So he was doing something that I could imagine that I could do as well. So see if you can find a mentor. Ideally, working for a mentor is one of the best things you can ever do, where you actually go and work inside a company where you're being mentored. You're getting daily feedback. There are 5 million UK small businesses. There's 30 million US businesses that have, many of them have remote workers. So there are so many opportunities to go and work in a company where you could be mentored. Bear in mind, there's only 7,000 large companies in the UK. There's not that many large companies. So all those big brands that you've heard of, there's only 7,000 big companies, but there's 5 million little companies. Don't discount the small businesses. Some of you will get a lot of value by joining an agency, or you might get value from joining a small accounting firm or a small legal firm, something small where you get the mentoring. Keep this exciting idea in mind. 50% of the UK's wealth is about to change hands. There's this group of people called the baby boomers. The baby boomers are probably your grandparents, and the baby boomers are people who are currently aged between 61 and 79. 50% of the UK economy is in their hands. All the businesses that they own, all the properties that they own, and that's starting to shift. So one of the things that's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years is that many of the baby boomers are going to close down their businesses, and every business that closes is a new opportunity for an entrepreneur to open up in that space. Some baby boomers are going to want to just give their businesses away because they're at a different stage of life. They're going to say, hey, I'm looking for a young team to take over this business, and maybe you can just pay me a little bit of money over time as you take over the business. And they might be able to mentor you into that. There's literally millions of businesses that are going to be either shut down or passed on to a new team. There could not be more opportunities than right now and in the next 5 to 10 years. Tip number 2, listen to inspiring podcasts when you're on the move. So it's very, very easy to be listening to music. It's very easy to be listening to nonsense. I want you to start listening to inspiring podcasts. Some of the world's top thinkers, some of the world's most successful people have recorded podcasts, and you get to sit in and listen to what they have to say. When I was a teenager, we had none of it. None of it was available. In fact, even all through my 20s, we had none of it. Believe it or not, this is going to be weird for you to hear. Podcasts, you had to order them as a cassette tape through the mail, right? They were advertised in newspapers and magazines. You had to get them as a cassette tape. There were these like CDs, but plastic, weird things. Does everyone know what a cassette tape is? Okay, great. And they were hundreds of pounds. They actually cost hundreds of pounds, just one set of little cassette tapes. So you might buy them for 100 or 200 pounds just to be able to listen to what today is a podcast. Like any episode of Diary of a CEO might have been 100 pounds and you ordered it through the mail as a cassette tape. So like it was so rare that you even got access to any of this stuff, and you guys have it freely available. So when you're on the move, get yourself in the habit of listening to an inspiring podcast. Find someone who inspires you. That's one way you can immediately change your environment for free. Tip number 3, get somebody to hold you accountable to your word. So when you've got ideas, don't hold it to yourself. Don't keep it to yourself. Tell someone that you respect that this is what I intend to do. This is what I'm going to be getting out there and doing. If you put it out there and you say, these are the things I'm going to do in the next 2 weeks, you're so much more likely to do it. So a little bit of external accountability. It's almost impossible to hold yourself accountable. So if you say, for example, I want to go to the gym 3 times a week for the next 4 weeks, tell someone that you respect, this is what I'm planning on doing. I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week for the next 4 weeks. Right? If you want to, you can say, here's 20 pounds. You only give the 20 pounds back to me if I do it. Right? So you can get this thing called external accountability. Right? Obviously someone you trust, right? Who will actually give you back the 20 pounds. Okay, next one is opportunities. So there are so many opportunities at the moment. Every problem is an opportunity. If you notice anything that you think could be improved upon, that's an opportunity. You notice something broken, that's an opportunity. So you heard that I've done 7 startups that went 0 to $1 million in the last 12 months, in their first 12 months. All of them were just noticing a problem and launching a business to address it. So I've had Dent Business Accelerators. It's gone from, I launched it 15 years ago. We've had 5,500 businesses globally come through that. All those 5,500 businesses, they've noticed a problem. They're just setting up a business to solve it. Score App is a company. During the pandemic, I noticed that a lot of businesses needed to find a new way to find customers, so we created Score App, a piece of software. Today, that business is worth 50 to 100 million pounds. So it's become a big business, and it started with almost nothing. There's been a bunch of other businesses that I've bought or sold. I just launched this one here called Book Magic. I noticed that a lot of people want to write a book in their lifetime, but they struggle to actually write the book. So we thought, we could use AI to help people to write a book. So we'll create a little piece of software where you tell it your idea for a book, and then the AI comes and helps you to pick the chapters and what you might put in each chapter, and it's all beautifully laid out. And then we put that together. We went to some investors and said, do you want to invest in this? And we easily raised a little bit of investment. And that business now has its first 600 customers, about £25,000 a month worth of business coming in at the moment. And it's just a new little business, new little idea. So what makes a good opportunity? What makes a great opportunity is three things. You're going to notice that you're passionate about something, that you have a little bit of a passion. In fact, a lot of people are going to tell you, follow your passion. But passion is not enough. You need three things. You need passion, you need to be solving a problem that you see in the world, and you need people who are willing to pay for that to be solved. Those are the big three things that a good business opportunity has. So if you follow your passion, that's a great place to start, but you're going to have to look at, okay, what problem needs solving that people are frustrated by, and who would pay for that? And if you can't figure out those other two, a passion on its own is not enough. You might notice a problem in the world, and you have to ask yourself the question, am I passionate about solving this problem, and are people willing to pay for that? You might notice a big pile of money and say, ooh, there's lots of money in that. Okay, that's great, but can I solve a problem that's not being solved? And can I have a long-term passionate about, be long-term passionate about doing that thing? So you're going to need to have these three things. So when you're looking at opportunities, you're always asking yourself the question, am I passionate? Does this solve a problem? Is someone willing to pay for this? Those are the big three things that you're looking for. And if you can find that, if you can figure out something in the middle, we call that the entrepreneur sweet spot. And that entrepreneur sweet spot is where you start businesses, right? So you don't want to go 2 out of 3 is not enough. You've got to get 3 out of 3 for the entrepreneur sweet spot. As soon as you spot an opportunity, what you do with that is you create a pitch. And a pitch is where you figure out how you're going to explain that to other people. So when you go out and talk to someone you don't know, you're going to tell them your name, what your idea is the same as that they've already heard of before, what makes your idea different, what are you aiming for in the next 90 days, and what's the big game if you succeed, right? So that's called name, same, fame, aim, and a game. And that's called a little quick pitch. So as soon as you've got an idea, an opportunity, the next step is to turn it into a pitch so you can talk about it. The other way that you're going to get opportunities today is by building a personal brand. All of you can start thinking about personal brands. Think about this. Cristiano Ronaldo has 600 million followers or more than that on Instagram. Every single football club in the Premier League combined has less than half of that, 270 million. So one personal brand is more powerful than all the football clubs combined, and they've been around for over 100 years. So what we want to do is start thinking about how are you going to build your personal brand. Remember, everything that goes online is pretty much going to be there forever. So be really careful about what you put online and think about, are you able to build yourself a personal brand? And that way you'll get inbound opportunities as well as outbound opportunities that you're pitching for. Tip 1, start building your personal brand today. Get yourself on LinkedIn. Share your journey. Share with people on LinkedIn what it is that you're learning, what it is that you're discovering, what it is you're hoping for. Any of those things, you can create some content on LinkedIn. You can create a good Instagram as well. You could create a good TikTok, right? But think about long-term, not just the short-term likes, short-term views. Think about long-term personal brand. For those of you that are interested in creating on social media, a lot of people are going to tell you that it's silly, that it's nonsense, that there's no money in it. Well, actually, the opposite is true. While the British economy is not growing at all, 0% growth, the creator economy is growing at 22% per year. It's going from $200 billion this year to $550 billion by 2030. It's a big, growing, affluent market. Some of the richest people that I know are people who are just creating on social media. Obviously, you've got to do it with a strategy and a plan, but ultimately, there's a lot of money in there. Tip 2, start pitching your ideas to people that you don't know. It's normal to share your ideas with people you do know and your friends. Start doing what Becky did, which is send out a video pitch to someone you don't know and see what happens. Tip number 3, launch a waiting list for an idea that you want to create in the future. So if you think to yourself, at some point in the future, I want to launch a fashion brand. I want to create some cool hats, or I want to create some cool clothing. And you say, at some point, I'm going to do this. Launch what's called a waiting list, which says, in the future, I'm going to launch a fashion brand. It's going to be about this, this, and this. If you're interested to hear more, Join the waiting list and I'll send you more information when it's ready. And see if you can get people to join the waiting list. If you can get 500 or 1,000 people on the waiting list and they tell you what it is that they like about the idea, then you're already getting yourself ready to launch when you're ready. Okay, final thought is the art of possibility. If you watch the news, you're going to see lots of people who say nothing's possible, right? It's all downhill from here. It's all terrible, right? The budget, there's not enough money. We're running out of money. There's a black hole in the economy, blah, 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 blah. Couldn't be further from the truth. It's the most incredible time to be alive. You can live and work from anywhere. In the times that we're in, some of you are going to have amazing lives where you live and work from anywhere. Some of you are going to, in the next few years, you're going to be literally working from a beach in Thailand. Some of you are going to jump on a plane and head out to Dubai, and you're going to get an amazing opportunity there. Some of you are going to stick around, but you'll have customers all over the world, right? You can live and work from anywhere. You have a world of opportunities. Your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, they had to find an opportunity in the local area, the local 5 to 10 mile radius. You have the whole world open to you, right? You are living in the best time ever. The reason the news is so negative is because we have geographically limited governments trying to manage people who are totally free to roam the world, right? That's their problem. It's not your problem. It's your opportunity. We live in a world where 70% of the world have access to fast internet now. Literally billions of potential customers for your business, billions of opportunities being passed around every single day. So the whole world is your oyster, and no one's ever had this opportunity like you've got it. In your pocket, you have the most incredible advisor and mentor. ChatGPT can talk you through every single step of starting a business, growing a business, scaling a business, raising capital, anything that you want to know about, any questions that you have. You've got this genius in your pocket. You can just simply prompt it and say, pretend to be an entrepreneur, pretend to be a super successful entrepreneur. Give me the steps that I would take if I wanted to launch this business. Help me to brainstorm my ideas into something. You are living in a time that no one else has had this type of technology available ever before at your age. Your grandparents and great-grandparents could only dream of what you've got access to. You've got cheap, fast access to the world's information, and it's super, super packaged up in AI. You've got cheap access to travel. By the way, AI is not going to take all the jobs. AI is going to amplify all the opportunities by 10, right? You are going to have, here's what you're not going to have. You're not going to have a shitty job available for you. But did you really want a shitty job? No, right? Did you want a factory job? No. Did you want some dehumanizing, repetitive work? No. What you wanted is a great life. AI is going to help you to access that great life. So you've got cheap access to travel. Your grandparents and great-grandparents would have spent very huge amounts of money just being able to get on a plane and go somewhere else. You can do it cheaply and easily. You've got easy access to build a global business. It's never been easier to build a global business, which is mind-blowing. If you think about not that long ago, the idea of building a global business where you've got customers all over the world, you would have had to be Coca-Cola, you would have had to be Microsoft, you would have had to be McDonald's to do that. Today, people in their teens and 20s are building global businesses. They've got customers all over the world. So, the world is your oyster, unlimited opportunities, mindset, keep that positive mindset, environment, pay attention to how you can improve your environment. What was the other one I said? Am I testing you now? There was something else. Mindset, environment. Oh, and keep an eye out for all of those incredible opportunities because anything's possible. Thank you very much. Should we do some questions?
We'll do a couple, yes. Has anyone got any questions? Hands up and I'm going to run and find you. I can't see any hands. Have we got any hands? Someone must have a question. We must have some questions. I'm coming.
I can't see anything. I've just
Come on, here we go. I found one. We're going.
Lights.
We're going up the stairs. I apologise if I end up out of breath. We're on 10,000 steps already today. I'm coming to you. Right, oh, there's a lot of popcorn on the floor down here. Here we go. Right, young man.
I was going to say, what kept you motivated at your, lowest moments?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, what kept me motivated at my lowest moments? Having the right friends around. So there are certain friendship groups where they compound the bad moments. Bad moments turn into even worse moments. There are people around you who are drains. They drain your energy. There are people around you who give you energy, especially when the chips are down, when things are bad. So I was really lucky. I had a few good friends who we just talked about what we were up to. We talked about the highs and the lows. And I had mentors. So I had some people who were just a few steps ahead. The powerful thing about being just a little bit older is you know that things can work out well. Even though when it seems down, you actually know how that situation works out. So I had mentors who would say, this is normal, this stuff happens, it's going to take 2 or 3 months to figure this out, and then you'll get through it and you'll go from strength to strength. So having some mentors, having some good friends, honestly, cutting off people who are a bit of a drain, and focusing on being around people who are uplifting, and having a few mentors. So that environment that I talked about before. Great question.
Great answer as well. We have another question here.
Is there anything you wish you could have done differently?
Oh, I tell you, I just wish I was your age. Honestly, if I could wave a magic wand and trade places with you, I would give up all my millions and go straight back to square one if I could be sitting in your seat rather than standing up here. Because the opportunity is so much bigger and so much better. I just happened to be born a little bit earlier than you guys, but if I could trade places, I would, right? So just think, just the fact that you're sitting there, not here, at my age, that's what you already have something that's worth tens of millions, right? No, every single billionaire on the planet would pay every cent they've got if they could swap places with you right now. So you're already a billionaire. You've got something that billionaires wish they had, right? So that would be how I'd think about that.
Last question. They made me walk all the way to the top. Here we go.
What motivated you to keep going when you faced problems?
Money.
Good, honest answer.
I just wanted to make more money. No, I'm kidding. I was always super excited. Look, I've always been a type of person who thinks, what's the opportunity? The truth is that even when I was living in a garage, I was a Pizza Hut delivery driver. I was knocking on doors on the weekend to set appointments for this weird roof insulation company. I was working till 3 o'clock in the morning at a bar. I was so broke that my hobby was just walking through nice neighborhoods and looking at big houses when I was walking. I would go to the fruit and veg shop and see if they had any throwaway boxes for $1, and I'd go to the butcher and see if they had any throwaway bags of meat for like $1 or $2. So I was really, really broke. But I got to be honest with you, even at that point, I was super excited about the future. Like I just thought, there's so many opportunities. I'm going to be fine. I know that I'm starting from scratch, but that's fine. There's so many opportunities out there. It's just, I can't believe my luck that I've got the chance to, that I wasn't born as a farmer 300 years ago, or I wasn't born as a soldier a couple of hundred years ago, or I wasn't born as a factory worker 100 years ago. It's like, this is cool. I'm born in a cool time, and there's going to be plenty of opportunities. So I've just always kept my eye on the future. It's like I just want to make the most of these incredible times that we're in.